The top two women's seeds of the Canadian Open were sent packing in the round of 16 and in straight sets. I'll analyze both Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff's defeats and give my brief thoughts on all the exhausting discourse, especially surrounding Coco's loss. Also, I'll show some love to Naomi and Vicky M for their dominant fourth round wins and preview all the upcoming quarterfinal matchups in Canada. Hello, I'm Christian Bassnight and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post new content. 18-year-old Canadian phenom Victoria Mboko is officially enjoying her breakout tournament in Montreal after toppling top seed Coco Gauff on Saturday 6-1, 6-4. And this is Mboko's maiden WTA 1000 quarterfinal and her first tour level quarterfinal period. These two played once before in Rome in the second round this year, where Mboko took the opening set 6-3 before Coco kind of stormed back and only dropped 3 games total in the final 2 sets. But I knew that for sure Vicky M could get over the finish line here in this match in Montreal because Coco's defense and craftiness aided her a little bit more on the clay, and those things wouldn't be as much of a factor on hard courts, especially the faster hard courts in Canada. A few people called this upset, considering how Coco's form wasn't necessarily the best in her 2 previous matches, her 2 opening matches, but still I felt that Gauff's problem-solving skills would get her through, especially since her last 2 opponents were big hitters, and Mboko, of course, is a big hitter. But Vicky M, she has notably improved her shot tolerance this event, and she did a phenomenal job of picking the perfect time to pull the trigger. Vicky was also just more consistent than Danielle Collins and Veronika Kudermetova, and she was also better able to attack Gauff's second serve, and she was just immediately applying pressure on the American as soon as the American hit her second serve. Although Coco did not do herself any favors at all, really, with her low 43% first serve percentage. I always say this too, but Gauff's return, overall her return level, is another strong indicator of her play, and in this Mboko match, she did not make a high number of returns back in play, especially in the first set. Lots of credit to Vicky though, she served very strong, but Coco often got her racket on these returns and still missed them a lot. And I just still think overall the return, it's not nowhere near as strong as it is on clay. So that's something that she needs to continue to work on. Gauff was for sure comprehensively outplayed in the opening set, but I did not think that Vicky M would run away with it in the second set as well. Coco did improve her serve in the second set as she won more points behind it, and she did what she needed to do for the most part. And I thought for sure that she would force a decider, especially when she had 3 break points at 3-all, but really she missed all those opportunities from errors. You could argue that maybe 1 or maybe 2 were forced errors, but for sure the last one where she missed a very makeable second serve return long, you just cannot do that. She let Mboko off the hook big time there. You got to make Vicky play. I do think that 3-all game was the big turning point of the match, and I just think it was overall huge for Vicky M to be serving first in the second set. I do think that Coco played a little bit too much of Vicky's game of trying to go pound to pound, pound for pound against her, and I do appreciate the more aggressive intent, and I understand why she did it. And she even said in her post-match press conference that she felt the need to kind of go for more to keep Vicky at bay and to prevent Vicky from attacking her. But I do think there are moments where she could have forced Mboko to feel the moment a little bit more and make her play. And while this is harder to do on hard courts, I think that Gauff could have given more variety and mixing up the heights and spins of shot. But ultimately, Coco's winning ugly just could not get her out of trouble here like it did in her opening 2 matches in Montreal. She came close though. I really do think that if she had broken Vicky at 3-all, she could have pushed it to 3 sets and anything could have happened in a 3-set match. But still, you got to credit Mboko for shutting the door and seizing her moments, unlike Collins and Kudermetova. I think all the fanfare about this result should really solely be about Mboko and her rise rather than Coco being washed and overrated. I saw way too much talk and discussion about Coco and her, again, like being washed and a flop and stuff like that. And really, tennis fans are just so tired with this, like always tearing down players when they have a result like this. Of course, 1-4, not the best scoreline, but still, you know, credit should be given to Mboko. She thoroughly deserved the win. And this is particularly common with Coco about how fans like to say, yada yada, or so and so is who we all thought Coco would be. Meanwhile, Coco is a whole multi-slam champion. She has 2 slams to her name, and no disrespect to Vicky M, but she doesn't have a slam to her name, at least yet. Like, we need to be respectful now. The sad thing is, say that Vicky M does turn out to be a slam champion like Coco, and she inevitably loses to a younger player, y'all gonna do the same thing and say that Vicky M is washed as well. It's a shame. Or maybe not, because I do think some of it is people don't respect Coco's game as much, and I feel like they will respect Vicky M's game a little bit more because she's a little bit more of an aggressive player, and when she wins, it's not she's less prone to winning ugly still, but I don't think that's justified to still hate on Coco like that. And the flip-flopping is utterly ridiculous, and people, they're already turning on Mira Andreeva as well, because they previously were saying Mira is who we all thought Coco would be after she won Dubai and Indian Wells, and she obviously lost opening round here in Montreal, so it's just overall tiring. And I also don't know how I feel about Coco being asked in the press if she sees herself and Vicky M. Those two have very different game styles, so don't like that comparison. And Coco, she gave a good response. She said, no, she's a completely different player, completely different person. I've never been one to compare myself to others, whether it be like people comparing me to Serena or Venus. And I don't think it's fair to put that on her as well. And I completely agree. I do think, though, that Coco finding the silver lining in this, I think it was good for her to even make the 4th round stage, considering how she really could have lost both the 2nd round and 3rd round matches. Still, the big glaring issue are the double faults. 23 double faults in her 2nd round match, 14 double faults in her 3rd round match. That can't be it. But honestly, I feel like aside from the service issues, she didn't play terribly. She didn't play that bad from the ground, at least. So if she can figure out that serve, I think she can go on a deep run for the U.S. Open. But if she wants to win the U.S. Open, we've got to see some notable improvements in the serve for Cincinnati. Focusing on our Victoria, it's not really a surprise at all that she had this result. I said this even though I didn't think that she would win. I said I wouldn't be surprised if she got the win over Coco, because she has the game and she has been getting better tournament by tournament by tournament. I do think she can win the whole thing, honestly. The only concern I have is her body and being able to hold up after. She would need to win 7 matches if she were to lift the title, because she didn't get an opening round bye. That's a lot of tennis, especially for an 18-year-old, and she has had her injury concerns early in her career, so hopefully her body again holds up to go on a deep run. I do think that she has a solid road to the finals, not gonna lie. She will be the favorite in her quarterfinal match against Jessica Butas-Monero, and then if Vicky M wins this one, she will face Rybakina or Kostyuk, which are both winnable in my opinion, even though Mboko, she did lose to Rybakina recently in DC. I think that having that match against Atlanta under her belt will help her, plus the crowd will for sure be fully behind her. But last thing on Vicky M, I think it's a great thing to have, for Canada at least too, to have another big star having a big breakout moment in the summertime. And I just really hope and pray that Vicky M stays consistent, because she truly is the star that Canada, I think, really needs right now. Of course, we all know that Coco Gauff was not the only top 2 player to lose in the round of 16, as Iga Swiatek, she fell to Clara Tauson. Tauson, she got her revenge as she lost to Iga in the round of 16 at Wimbledon 4-1 a few weeks ago. But today, or on Sunday at least, she got the better of the pole, winning 7-6, 6-3 to advance to the quarterfinals. This was honestly a pretty tight match, and I feel like it could have gone either way. At least the first set could have gone either way. Tauson, though, was pretty clutch. She saved 7 out of her 8 break points faced in the opening set, and it was just defined by great spot serving throughout this entire match, I feel. Really, Tauson has one of the best serves on the women's tour. I think it's severely underrated, and she won 74% of her first serve points. Some of this was due to Swiatek being a little bit more error-prone on the return, especially compared to her returning at Wimbledon, but still credit to Tauson for her strong serving and also her solid game plan of attacking the Swiatek forehand, which was a bit error-prone as well. We all know that while Iga's forehand can give her a lot of winners, it can also give her quite a few unforced errors as well. I think that Iga honestly played solid. She played good, or fine at least. Obviously not 100%, but like with Coco, the opponent here, or the winner, and Tauson in this case, deserves a lot of the credit. Tauson, she next plays American Madison Keys, who saved 2 match points in her 4-6, 6-3, 7-5 thriller win over Carolina Muchova. Tauson and Keys, their lone meeting was this year in Auckland in the quarterfinals, which Clara won in straight sets 6-4, 7-6. I might favor Clara here. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. Now, Naomi Osaka by far had the easiest time on court in her round of 16. She utterly dominated world number 386, Anastasia Sevastova, 6-1, 6-love. Osaka only needed 49 minutes to get the win, and this is her second fastest completed match of her entire career. Sevastova defeated Pegula in the round prior, and I thought that she would actually trouble Osaka a little bit because she brings a little bit more, flair and variety, and she was a little bit more consistent, at least so I thought. But she was pretty error prone in this match today, and she was not giving herself many favors because she only hit one entire winner this entire match. This was a big win for Naomi because it's the biggest quarterfinal of her comeback, or at least it ties Doha 2024. But I think this is bigger than Doha 2024 because Doha, she won 2 matches, I believe, to reach the quarterfinals. Here, she won 4 matches. So she's done well to get to the stage. She's gotten some great wins, notably beating Ostapenko 2-4, and now here, Sevastova 1-love. Now, people, annoyingly, in my opinion, have said that this is all due to Naomi's new coach, Tomasz Witkowski, and that Patrick was holding her back. I think this is all silly. This is not all about Tomasz. While I'm sure that having a fresh voice has helped, Naomi was literally a point away twice from being bounced in round 2. That Samsonova win was the one, I think, the big catalyst in her obviously reaching to the stage, but possibly having a big turnaround in this comeback. But I do think that Naomi gave a decent analysis on, her success this week. She said, honestly, I think for me, what's working well is I'm very confident in my fitness. I'm really comfortable just getting balls back now, and I really enjoy Tomasz. I enjoy his coaching style. He's very direct and to the point. For someone like me, who my thoughts scatter around often, is very helpful. Now, while this is a great result for Naomi in making the quarterfinals, I'm not entirely moved yet, and I'm not going to jump the gun and say that she's completely back because she has dominated Ostapenko before, notably last year at the U.S. Open. And then Sevastova, she was poor today. While Naomi was good, Sevastova was poor. And I think that, honestly, a match like this could hurt Naomi possibly because she wasn't tested at all. Elina Svitolina is her next opponent, and I think that Svitolina will be a great challenge for Osaka. Elina, she got some great wins recently, dominating Anna Kalinskaya before beating Amanda Anisimova 4-1 in the round of 16. The matchup might favor Naomi, though. She does lead the head-to-head with Elina 4-3, and she won their last meeting, which was in Miami last year when Naomi was earlier on in her comeback trail. So for sure, I think it's a winnable match for the Japanese woman. I do think it's going to be a tight one. I see this one going 3 sets. Although, unfortunately for Naomi, I see this one kind of being another one of those heartbreaking, could have won matches for her. So I'm going to be having Svitolina get the win and advance to the semifinals. Transitioning to talking about the men, of the top half of the draw, we have Zverev going up against the defending champion, Alexei Popyrin. Zverev leads the head-to-head 3-0. Their last meeting was at the Olympics last year, although their 2 meetings before that were in 2018 and 2019. So I don't know if we should really read too much into the head-to-head. I think Popyrin has a solid shot. Obviously, he loves Canada. He just got a great win over Holger Rune in the round of 16, so he could get the win, but I have Zverev making the semifinals in my preview, so going to be sticking with the German here to move on. Then below you have American Alex Michelsen in his maiden ATP 1000 quarterfinal. He takes on Karen Khachanov. I'm going to be going with experience here and having Khachanov win, but Michelsen, I think he has the game to get the win. Now, looking at Sunday's round of 16 matches on the men's side, they were all bangers today. Alex de Minaur won the first match. He defeated Francis Tiafoe 6-2, 4-6, 6-4. Props to Francis because he made this more of a match, especially after being down a set and a break, and he put himself in a great position to win it as he had 2 break points being up 3-2, but Demon, he saved them, and he also came up with some incredible shot making, notably at 4-all deuce, and I think that was a critical turnaround point for him as he broke and then served out the win. I did have de Minaur come through to the quarterfinals, but still it's impressive that he's able to have such a good turnaround after going deep and winning DC. I do think he was aided from that walkover from Chris O'Connell in round 3, but still still nonetheless a great effort from de Minaur to still bounce back and make another quarterfinal. The Aussie next plays Ben Shelton. This would be their first meeting. After the American Shelton, he outlasted the 13th seed, Flavio Cobolli, 6-4, 4-6, 7-6. This was an impressive effort from Ben as he was down 5-3 in the third set, and Shelton did well to just stay solid and let Flavio beat himself with errors when he tried to serve for the match. And Ben, he ultimately ran away with the match in the tiebreaker, only dropping 1 point in the breaker. Although the breaker did ignite a little bit of drama, as apparently Cobolli made a gesture at the start of the breaker, which Shelton thought was about him. Flavio tried to explain himself at the net that he was gesturing to his own team, and those two had a long discussion after the handshake, and then Ben later said on court, or in the on-court interview, that they're cool and that there's no beef and that they're indeed still friends. And honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, it did look pretty heated in the moment, but I think it's mature of them to kind of talk it out and, yeah, dead it right there, then and there, instead of letting it linger on in the press conference. So good on them for squashing the beef, the brief beef then and there. I got to give it to Ben, too, because these last two match wins were easily losable for him. Thinking back to that third round match against Brandon Nakashima, Nakashima had the break lead in the third set there as well before Ben roared back to take that one in a tiebreaker as well. Now, again, as I mentioned, this will be the first meeting between Shelton and de Minaur. I might stick with Ben. I had him beating de Minaur in my tournament preview, although I think this one will be very tough for him because de Minaur is the type of player to make you play, and he's going to make Ben play a lot of shots. And we saw in Ben's last loss against Davidovich Fokina, when he came against someone who made him play a lot more balls, he sprayed a lot of errors. So the serve would be huge for him. It needs to be firing in this match, but regardless, I think it'll be a really entertaining one. Speaking of Davidovich Fokina, he was unable to make another quarterfinal. He was in prime position, though, against Andrei Rublev in their round of 16 match, leading 7-6, 5-4, 30 love on Rublev's serve, but he was unable to convert on that opportunity, and he soon after faded. The Spaniard started struggling with his movement early on in the third set, and then he called it quits down 3 love. I will give Foki a bit of a pass because he did have that grueling week in DC where he made the finals, and obviously he wasn't able to win that one, so already a tough task for him to come back and try to play another tournament immediately after. And then to just in this match, he was so close to the win and wasn't able to come out on top, so I do not blame him for kind of saying, yeah, I'm done. You have the win. This was great for Andre, obviously, because he needed this win. He was defending finals points from last year, so good on him that he was able to at least get to the quarterfinals yet again here in Canada. Andre will now take on number 2 seed Taylor Fritz, who survived Yuri Lehechka in a battle of the tiebreakers. Taylor won 7-6, 6-7, 7-6 in nearly 3 hours. There were absolutely no breaks of serve in this match, and Fritz, he deserves his props because he was down many breaks, or at least one mini break at 4-2 in the third set tiebreaker, but he only dropped 1 more point from that point forward in the match. So a great effort from him to finish strong. Taylor, he leads the head-to-head against Andre 5-4, and he has won the last 4 or 5 matches. I picked Fritz to win the title, so I'm going to be sticking with him here, of course, too, to get to the semifinal stage. That's all I have for this video, and let me know your thoughts on Naomi and Vicky M's results and whether you think they can go even further and make the semifinals, and also Coco and Iga's losses and whether you think they show signs of concern for their US Open prospects. Again, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more content, especially from Cincinnati, as I am in Cincinnati right now, as y'all can tell from the hotel backdrop. So stay tuned for some content from Cincy. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you all next time here on Christian's Court.